Welcome, I'm Vidi of Video Games for Fun, and I'm doing this recording after having played 3 hours of Super Mario Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch, and it's also the first time I've played on the Nintendo Switch like ever, so here are my initial impressions, which I hope you enjoy. Oh my gosh, where do I begin? Well, let's go through some points, shall we? We'll quickly go through the story, because if you played Mario games, well, you should be pretty familiar with this one. Peach has been kidnapped by Bowser, and as you may have seen in the trailer, unless of course you're trying to really not spoil yourself, and I'm not going to try and spoil anything in these impressions. It's a big wedding, it's a big celebration. The beginning is also quite interesting. Mario seems to actually go up against Bowser, right away. And much like, say, Paper Mario or heck even other games, gets, punished by Bowser, gets sent to somewhere far, far away, and off you go. You have to go and rescue Peach, and of course, you've got the help of Cappy, who is Mario's Cap this time, and can do some pretty awesome stuff, which we'll get to in a moment. I'll also talk about the other obvious thing. If you've been paying attention to the footage so far, there's no denying that this is a beautiful looking game. I don't even think the capture device I even have does justice to how smooth it is, how colourful it is, the animations, it's all very charming. I love how the characters look. It's really a beautiful game, and the variety in the settings especially seems impressive. I don't have much to say about the music at this point. It seems quite nice actually, it seems complimentary, and it changes as you go through the levels. It's not like, one level only has this particular song and that sort of thing. Speaking of which, I haven't come across that Pauline who apparently sings that catchy Mario Odyssey song that we've had stuck in our heads since the E3 trailer, but I'll look forward to when that happens. And also, speaking of music, the sound effects, the characters speak in gibberish sounds but with subtitles. So we don't have, Bowser talking like, how I'm talking, which I suppose actually works fine for the game. So if you played previous 3D Marios, you will see that much of what you have to do is fairly similar, whether it's getting the stars in Super Mario 64 and the Galaxy games, or the shines in Super Mario Sunshine. This time you seem to be getting power moons, and they power up this airship to go to other kingdoms, as they're called this time. They're not called levels or worlds, I think, but they're called kingdoms. And by golly, these kingdoms are... They seem massive. There are so many power moons to find in this game, and yes, some of them are obtained in interesting ways, whether it's playing through a 2D Mario level of sorts, or you actually have to use the rumble function, or use the transformations with Cappy. The power moons certainly do seem quite spread out, maybe they're in random places. I'm not even sure how many of these are, but they certainly do encourage exploration. And before you ask, there is fast travel in this game, which certainly helps with the large open worlds. In fact, you might say that this game is certainly taking some cues from Breath of the Wild, that's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or certainly other open world games to an extent. I also like how these kingdoms also seem to get affected by Bowser and his wedding. These worlds really do come alive, the characters are great. That's just a little detail that I actually quite appreciate. And speaking of little details, you see, Mario's facial expressions are great, he dances to music. It's great. I guess I might as well use this opportunity to talk about what I think many of us have been most excited for in Super Mario Odyssey, and that is Cappy and the use of transformations in this game. And yes, it actually does seem fairly fun actually, and is probably one of the aspects of the game in which you are in control of how you want to do things. Sometimes you will get, directions as to which power moons you should go up to next, or at least other aspects which seem more relevant to the story, or at least the journey. But I went out of my way to look for other power moons, play around with other transformations. And speaking of the transformations, I won't show too many of them here. You will have seen quite a few in the trailer, and I'm sure those are not the only ones we get to play around with. When you take control of an object or a character or an enemy or whatever you want to call it. You do have to keep in mind that the controls are certainly different, even the physics. And even there seem to be transformations which you can only be as for a limited time. If my playthrough is any indication, I'm really looking forward to how I can use this to explore the levels. Like, oh, I can get over there with this transformation, which would be better. Or I can go with this transformation. Or the only way to get this specific Power Moon is via this transformation. Or certainly using Cappy to make those jumps and using wall jumping. And speaking of jumping, well, I'm still getting used to the controls a little bit, with the physics of this game. It's not terrible. Mario's control is very responsive and snappy, and the camera certainly doesn't seem to get in the way of it at all. You can reset the camera and use the right thumbstick to adjust the camera to your liking. A little bit like Super Mario Sunshine. Having played the Mario Galaxy games before, I think I was trying too often to spin jump. So, whoops. I guess I'm still getting used to using the Nintendo Switch controls, which is essentially the two Joy-Cons in my two hands. And the rumble is actually used to effect in this game more than just, tremors or earthquake-like, things happening. And also, you have to move the Joy-Cons in certain directions or spin them around or something to make certain things happen, which to me makes Super Mario Odyssey purely a Switch game to an extent. It does feel a little bit similar to using the Wiimote and Nunchuck, I guess. How this will affect playing the game on the go outside of having the console or the screen itself, I'm not even sure how to term this, on a table or something and having the Joy-Cons, I don't know, but having the Joy-Cons attached to the console/screen and then holding it out with you like an iPad or something, I'm not sure if the functions would really, work or something like that. But I guess if you want to play Mario Odyssey on the go, you can have the console/screen on a table or something, have the Joy-Cons out, and move them from side to side to pull off some pretty cool moves. Also, the quick note is coins do seem to have a very interesting function in this game. I found myself collecting quite a number of coins. Coins can be spent on buying things, and there are also specific coins to each kingdom. There seem to be only 100 of these kingdom-specific coins. I'm not sure what happens when you get all 100, but it certainly seems to buy certain things. Also, coins are not exactly your health meter. This time, you get the health meter by collecting hearts, some of which extend your life value, similar to the Galaxy games. When you die, whether it's taking damage or falling into a bottomless pit, you actually lose coins. And I dread to think what would happen if I lose all my coins after dying a million times. So yeah, you better collect those coins. Jump with me, grab coins with me. Anyway, I'm not going to quote the song. Also, the difficulty. Difficulty was something I was wondering about this game, especially since, to me personally, Zelda Breath of the Wild was a difficult game, a more challenging Zelda game, which I liked, actually. I liked how tricky Breath of the Wild was. It challenged me. But with Mario Odyssey, I'm not sure at this point, actually. I will say, though, whether this is going to be a staple for the game, or it's only because I've only played the game for 3 hours, the bosses, they do seem a bit too easy. In fact, they were, for the most part, the easiest part of the game, so that does seem a little bit disappointing. But hopefully the bosses will gradually increase in difficulty, either that or I'll go to other kingdoms where there'll be platforming challenges and bottomless pits and goodness knows what, preventing Mario from rescuing Peach. Also, one quick note about traveling from each of the kingdoms. I was also wondering how linear this game was going to be. There does seem to be a fair amount of freedom. You come across, a fork between two kingdoms and you get to choose which kingdom you want, and you certainly get a glimpse of other kingdoms as well just by being in a certain kingdom, and other people, yes, people, will come and visit and talk to you and all that sort of thing. I'll be really interested to see, what decisions I make in the game and how many power moons I need to collect. Seriously, I've only played this game for 3 hours, and my impressions of this game is bonkers. The variety is just going to be crazy. We're going to visit that city we saw in the trailers, which almost made us think it wasn't a Mario game at first. Hopefully Pauline will be there singing. And there's the Sand Kingdom, and there's lots of power moons to collect, and there's so many transformations. I mean, I don't even know what some of the functions do, especially the clothes. I'm not sure what the clothes do besides aesthetics at this point. One of the characters did mention why not dress up in these clothes or something. I don't know if that means you have to do certain missions wearing certain clothes or whatnot, but this combined with the amiibo support and all the things you have to do in this game means you'll be taking plenty of selfies, so to speak, with the capture function. I guess I'll also just bring up another quick just a little nitpick I guess I have with the game is that the tutorials and dialogue do occasionally break up the flow a little bit, but you can pretty much, just keep on playing the game, you can explore the game to your heart's content. In conclusion, this might be the 3D Mario we have been waiting for since, say, Super Mario 64, and I've loved the 3D Mario games, especially Super Mario 64, which is like one of my favourite games of all time. I felt so much freedom when not just exploring or choosing which levels or kingdoms or worlds that I wanted to look at, but also deciding how to accomplish the missions. This is a game that will certainly keep me entertained for goodness knows how long. There might even, just like other 3D Mario games, maybe we can only beat the final boss or whatever with only a set amount of power moons. We may have only just scratched the surface, depending on how many power moons we get. We may want to look at the list and look at the maps, and the maps also contain these little, sort of guides, which is nice, and it's just, I'm really looking forward to playing this. I'm surprised I'm even doing this recording. I should be getting back to playing this. But before I do, just some quick thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Switch itself, well, I already talked about the controls. They do certainly seem to, in the case of Mario Odyssey, make exclusive games fun to play. The console was pretty easy to set up. People have complained, I guess, about the Joy-Con accessories or something like that to an extent, and also getting the grip and all that sort of thing. Maybe, I'm not sure at this point, but the controls were mostly fine for me. I guess I may have felt a bit tired, holding them in my hands for that long, but we'll see about that. I might even get a Pro Controller. And I did briefly attach the Joy-Cons to the console/screen itself to see what it was like, and it was quite bonkers, the idea of taking a big Mario or heck even Zelda game on the go, whether it's, on the train or to someone else's house. The Switch does show promise. To some extent, I may have only bought the Nintendo Switch just for Super Mario Odyssey because I already have Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. I think there's certainly other great games potentially coming to the Switch. I really do want to give them a shot. And by all means, you guys in the comments can tell me which Switch games are good or which ones you're looking forward to the most, or even tell me what your thoughts are of Super Mario Odyssey in the comments below. I'd be really interested to have a conversation with you guys in the comments. And on that note, I haven't missed anything, so thanks for watching, guys. This is Viddy of Video Games for Fun, wishing you a good day or night or wherever it is. And I also hope you enjoy what else I have to offer on this channel. Daleks have been playing video games on this channel. I've been offering reviews of games, mostly for the non-gamer crowd, something really unconventional. Whether I'll do a review for Mario Odyssey remains to be seen, but after this video, I will have uploaded a review for experienced gamers as befitting Halloween, the 1999 PlayStation game Silent Hill. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.